Now, we're going to switch directions a little bit with our next fireside chat about unlocking the power of social media to drive business impact. We have two talented experts on this matter, so I'm looking forward to learning more. Please help us welcome Irina Novoselsky, the CEO of Hootsuite, and Meagan Loyst, the founder and CEO of Gen Z VCs, who will conduct this chat. The stage is yours.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you. Stools are a little awkward to sit on. Okay, I'm going to do my best.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us. You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Thank you so much for joining us here in Luxembourg. Super excited to talk about socials and how it's really powering business growth. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and Hootsuite?
Yeah, I would love to, Megan. So Hootsuite is the world's largest social media revenue performance engine, and one of the things that we do is we help companies from small to large figure out how to drive revenue off social media.
Amazing. So with that, I think we can both agree that socials is way more than just having viral videos, right? It's how companies build trust, connect with customers, and more importantly, drives business growth. So can you talk a little bit about this shift that's happening where socials is becoming more than just a brand play and really a business engine for companies?
Okay, brand play versus business engine. Anybody want to be honest in the room? Put your hand up if you spend more than 1 hour on social media a day.
Me.
Okay, raise your hands loud. I'm not done. Keep them up. How many of you spend more than 2 hours? Keep going. Don't lie. 3 hours? Thank you for being honest. 4? Should we go for 4? Do we have any 5 in here? Oh, and brave, but it's part of your job. Okay. Well, if you looked around, most of you are spending most of your days on social media. So is the rest of the world. There are 5 billion people around the world spending an average of 3 hours a day, and that most likely is an underrated stat because people don't want to admit how long they're spending on social media. And so when you're talking to brands and companies, there is no other place on the planet that you can get attention from that many people for that long. And so it becomes less of a decision. It's just a question of why wouldn't you take advantage of talking to your customers and your employees out there?
Yeah, when I look at my screen time, I want to throw up. I think I spend anywhere from 10 to 20 hours a week
it's embarrassing.
on TikTok alone.
Okay, I can't open TikTok. It's too aggressive for me.
I get that, but
I get overstimulated.
You're super active on LinkedIn, and I think really serving as an example for so many business leaders out there that are trying to be public advocates for their brand. Because we see this more often, right, where consumers and people, they expect more from companies. They don't want to just hear from the brand themselves. They want to hear from the people behind the brands. Mm-hmm. So can you talk a little bit about being an advocate as an executive, and also how you can empower your employees to do the same?
Okay, there's so much goodness in there. So Megan, you did some of this work, but so I decided to dig into Gen Zers a little while ago, and I thought, okay, I'm a millennial, me and Gen Z, we're the same people. So I started meeting with a few of them. Fun fact, we are not the same at all. And so as I started digging into them, I got to about 500 different interviews of Gen Zers. And it really is a generation that is packed with contradiction. They grew up with a phone in their pocket, yet they don't use it to talk. They want to have the ability to come into the office, but if you mandate a return to office, they'll quit. Right? They want to have a successful career, but as long as it's on their terms and their hours. And so once you kind of dig into this, there's a few things that are really changing our common and our ordinary business playbooks, and they're really flipping it on its head. This is a generation that does not want to be sold to. They want to form authentic relationships, they want to follow people they trust, and then they want to buy from people. They don't want to get sold to. And that distinction is really important because if you're a brand and you're out there, one of the best ways to do it is to put authentic voices out there, because it's really hard to relate to a company or a brand, but it's a lot easier to relate to a person. And so it's wild to me that executives are not putting more time in there, especially when the stats follow. There's this crazy stat that we saw that 88% of Gen Zers, by the time they get on the phone with a human, they already know that they're making the purchasing decision. And in so most cases, the salespeople think, I'm so good, I can close almost every time I get on the phone with these people. And that's not really what's happening, is they're making the decision before they get on the phone. They're making a decision before they even interact with your company. They're making the decision as they're reading the 10 different long papers and making their research. And if you're not showing up where they're doing their work, you're never going to get on that day one list to get that phone call. And it's mind-boggling to me that companies aren't embracing it more.
And I think the results speak for themselves. You're very, very active on LinkedIn. I saw recently you had something like 12 million impressions in the past couple months on LinkedIn alone, right? Is there like a playbook that companies can follow, especially if there are any executives or business leaders in the room that are maybe hesitant to do their first post?
Yeah, okay, well, another show of hands. How many of you have posted anything on social media ever? Hi. Okay, about 25% or so. So fun fact, 97% of the content comes from about 3% of the population. Most people are, there's a polite word for it, but I call them stalkers. I was a stalker myself. I am a stalker in many cases on Instagram, but on LinkedIn I post. And so that first post is very jarring. I'm Eastern European. I like to be private. I don't really know why everybody needs to share what they eat for breakfast every day, but I like consuming it, so I'm happy to follow it. And so the first step of just putting yourself out there and posting is hard. And I think the first thing that I would say to any of you that have executives that you think should do it, or you yourself, start by commenting. Just leaving a comment on somebody that you really like, or you like what they've said, or someone you admire. Just leave a comment a day, and it becomes very infectious, and you slowly start building relationships, and magical things happen. Outside of us getting deals, it's one of the things I joke, we do a weekly all-hands communication call. 15 minutes every week with every single employee. And I try to communicate, and I think I'm communicating. I don't know if anybody hears anything we're saying on those 15 minutes, but if we post that on LinkedIn, I hear about it immediately. They're reading that.
Well, I think on that note too, something you posted about recently is that really how socials can drive business metrics and opportunities. Like you're starting to analyze your Gong sales, right, to see that impact. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think one of the things, so I originally started my career in finance. I like measuring things. I'm a big believer, if you can't measure it, why are you doing it? And then I enter the world of organic social media, and it's really hard to measure. And so the two parts of my brain are in conflict with each other, and yet we know it's working. And we were thinking, how do we prove that it's working? We know we're getting business off this. We know we're building relationships. We know we're retaining customers, but how do we show it in the numbers? And so one of the things that we started doing is we started seeing how often in Gong, people are mentioning my LinkedIn presence on deals. And do those deals renew? Do they expand higher? Do they convert faster? And it's kind of been amazing to watch. It does all of that.
Amazing. And we talked a little bit about LinkedIn. There's Twitter as well. I think there's this misconception, right? When we think about social media, our brains immediately go to B2C brands, consumers, but Hootsuite has thousands of B2B customers. So what are some trends and things that you're seeing for B2B brands specifically succeeding on social?
I love that question. I was meeting with a B2B CEO. His company just recently got valued at $2 billion. He said the same thing to me. He goes, Irina, I get it. I love that for B2C companies. I'm a B2B business. Does this really apply? Okay, ready? Quick show of hands. How many of you are human in the room? For now, all of us. Trick question. And the reason that I ask is it's important. People buy from people. When's the last time you got inspired by a brand? Or you're like, I really need that brand. Right? You see a commercial, you're inspired by the person you saw. You hear someone talk, you're inspired by the feeling they gave you. You have a connection, you want to follow that connection. One more fun fact. What percent, anybody, this is a call out moment, so get brave. What percent of people, what percent of the click-through rate when you get an ad? So if somebody gives you an ad, what percent of people actually click through the ad to purchase whatever the ad is saying? Anybody want to throw out some numbers? Safe space, throw it out. Yes, 5%. Anybody else? 7. Okay, the answer is 3 to 7. If it's a referral, meaning somebody you know gave you a referral, what is the percent likelihood that you're going to follow through on that referral? They either give you a restaurant, they give you a hotel rec, they give you a B2B business that you should buy because they love the software. Any ideas? 90? 50? It's 70 to 80%. And yet, you know where 95% of our dollars are going in the marketing world? To the ad piece. And very little attention is being spent on the referral, on the organic engine, on the social media engine, where you're hearing from people where they want to go. And so I think it's a huge opportunity for people to double down and kind of understand how do you drive that advocacy approach.
And I think it can be internal, but it could also be external. So we're both creators on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I've started seeing, like as a creator personally, I have about 60,000 followers, so it's not crazy
Crushing
massive.
me. You're crushing me.
I'm getting a lot of brand deals from huge companies like Notion, for example, where they really want that visibility, and so they're putting it on their own
especially because you're bringing an audience that a lot of people want, right? You have thousands and thousands of people that are Gen Zers, and they want to know how they're thinking, what are they doing, because that's the future.
It is the future. And I think too, like I'm also a social media manager. I run social media for an ed tech unicorn called Class Dojo. We're using social tools all day long. And you've said before that social media teams deserve a seat at the table. Otherwise, companies are leaving millions of dollars on, behind effectively. Can you talk a little bit about that and how you embody that practice at Hootsuite?
Yeah. So our social media team, they're awesome. Most of our viral moments they come up with, they do. They also have a seat at our executive table. So they come and present to our ELT, our executive leadership team, monthly, sometimes at least quarterly, but we try monthly. And they come with their insights of what they learned. They also present to our product team to tell us what our customers are saying. They present to our customer office team to talk about what people are happy with, what they're unhappy with. So they really have an active voice at the table. And so I just got back this morning from Cannes Lions, and one of the resounding themes is I was meeting all of these senior marketing leaders that started in social media. And I truly believe that the next CMO, the traditional CMO got replaced by the digital CMO. And I think the digital CMO is going to get replaced by the social media CMO.
We'll see. But I do think on that point, right, you run a socials company. A lot of companies and maybe founders, executives might have a little bit of trouble giving away that trust, right? Because I think with socials, everything has to be instant. Trends are ephemeral. They happen in seconds and minutes and days, not weeks or months. And so oftentimes the difference between a super viral video and a not viral video is being able to execute on it very quickly. So how do you empower leaders to be able to give that trust to social teams to do what they do best?
Okay, so I think there's two types of trust. I would not give someone that trust for my own social account. I would like to review what goes on my account. But for the Hootsuite account, I think this goes back to any leader. I mean, when you're hiring executives, you have to trust them, or what's the point of hiring the person you're hiring? And so same thing with the social media team. I mean, I deeply trust their thought process, their approach, their common sense. I think that role is such a hard role to find smart, qualified people, but they're strategic, they understand our goals, they understand what's gonna work, what's not. And so I don't know how else you lead without trusting.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And kind of shifting gears a little bit, I think we would be remiss not to talk about AI a little bit, right?
Yes, we love AI.
It's such a big topic here. But I think more importantly, right, like every Hootsuite, you're known for social media management, but you've really evolved to focus on things like employee advocacy, customer support.
Bought a company from Luxembourg, TalkWalker, brought us a little analytics and listening.
Amazing. And real-time social listening, right? And so maybe could you talk a little bit about specifically, there's so much conversation about AI content creation, but not so much about AI powering strategy. Can you talk about real-time social listening and how it really does inform business decisions?
Love that question. Okay, ready? One more audience question. Anybody know for ChatGPT, when you're going to ask any kind of platform, OpenAI, Gemini, whatever, when you're asking it for social media insights, does anybody know what year or how old, I'm kind of leading the audience here, how old do you think that data is? Anybody? Throw it out. What is it? 21? Anybody else? 23? 2019? Okay. All right, I kind of set it up maybe. But old. It's from 2023. Could you imagine driving insights off of 2-year-old data? Nobody would even think of doing that, and especially in a world of social media where whatever happened this morning is probably out of touch already by the end of the day. And so one of the things that's so exciting that we get to do with TalkWalker is really take and harness all of these multiple data points that we have to drive insight to help fuel topics that are most relevant to the stakeholders that you want to target. So we have the ability to understand, what are your consumers talking about? What are your customers talking about? What makes sense? What are your competitors talking about? How do you stand out in this noise of AI? Because one of the things that AI is going to continue doing is that first question that we all asked of how many of you post, and very few of you raised your hand. In the world of AI, the posting volume and the number of content pieces is only going to go up, which means the noise is going to increase. And so having the ability to turn the dial and to really focus in on the insight that you need to the right stakeholder is going to become even more important. So I'm really grateful for AI.
It can help launch new products, new business
lines.
Everything,
the sentiment, what countries to go into. It can tell you what the names of your products should be, what campaigns. Are you converting on sales enough? It can literally help you generate leads that, hey, Megan is looking to change vendors because she needs a new content platform. And then somebody reaches out and says, hey, Megan, I saw you liked a competitor of ours. Are you looking to leave?
Okay, so we've talked so much about socials and how it drives business outcomes, and we've got about a minute left.
Okay,
so maybe
talk fast.
Really quickly, if there's one takeaway that people should take away today about social media and where it's heading, whether it's AI related or otherwise, what would that insight or takeaway be?
I think the world is driven by relationships. The only thing that humans have thrived on for years and years, the one thing they regret, the one thing that makes us happy, it brings us joy, it calms our nervous system down, it's building human connections, and it is incredible to see what you can do by interacting and building that kind of authentic human connection on social. So I would challenge you, get out there, make a friend, put yourself out there. You'd be surprised what the impact can be.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us,
thank
Irina.
you for having me,
and,
Meagan.
Let's give a round of applause, everyone.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to do a selfie with this group. Okay, we're going to do a video. Is everyone good with a little video? Okay, I'm going to take silence as approval. All right, Meagan, ready?
Yes. Ready.
Okay, maybe we'll do Nexus on 3.
Sounds good.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3.
Nexus.
Okay, one more time and look alive. Ready? Nexus on 3. 1, 2,
Nexus.
3. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks so much, everyone.